Oh, Melania, do you have something to tell us? Yes, my friends, I watched the Melania movie, so you don't have to. And I know you have heard a gazillion critiques of this film. But, my friends, what you have not heard is someone who actually watched it going in with zero expectations, but with the mind of a former English major who can look at anything like a text, like a cultural artifact that we can read, not on the surface in a way to simply recount what the dominant narrative is, but instead to see where that cracks. In other words, Melania Trump thinks and may go to her grave thinking that she created a movie designed to present a flawless, in her opinion, vision of herself with all of the trappings of monetary wealth that matter to her and demonstrating, again, her view that she is such a good person and that she is making such an important contribution to this country and that she is the first lady side by side with Donald Trump. But my friends, that story cracks open and the truth comes bubbling up from beneath the surface of the ground that she tried to smooth over as tightly as she shellacked that face paint, that foundation on her face. And I can tell you that you want to hear just how atrocious this is, but not that it's merely boring and stupid, but how flippin' hilarious it is to see the epic failure. So, how did I do this? On Saturday, I went to the film and I brought into the movie. I went to one of those Imaginariums or Imagine Studio. I don't even know what it's called. One of those places where you can recline and you get a ton of space. And God, I thought I was going to fall asleep in my recliner, but I didn't. And I brought in this little notebook. And it was a cute little notebook that I think I had been given when I was, I feel like I went to visit the Beinecke Library. This is ironic, a rare book library in New Haven at Yale University. And I got this little book and I was looking for something on my way out the door to grab in which I could take notes because I knew I'm not turning my cell phone on and taking notes. That's rude. And I also knew I needed something where I could write in the dark. I could write in the dark in this, and then I could just, I wouldn't know, like, if I just had a big sheet of paper, I'd be writing really big and wasting an entire notebook. So I figured that I would write a few things and keep turning the pages. Okay. And then I typed that up for you guys. So let me tell you how crazy this is. And for me, my friends, the craziest part seeping through all of this is that pretty early on, when I'm watching this, and I'm going to take you not scene by scene, but like from my notes, right? As I'm watching this movie, and it's like, okay, I'm looking for the drama. I didn't deliberately seek this, but if you're watching a film, you are looking to see something that catches your eye. And guys, Melania isn't my type. No offense. I find her really basic. So my eye wasn't caught by that. Not only that, all the limousines and the high heels and the Florida views, again, not my thing. Like, I'm just not that into that stuff. It's not that interesting, right? Signs of affluence, the tennis courts, the private jets, and so on. And kind of felt like as if the series Succession was filmed by Logan Roy's most recent girlfriend. Like, there was nothing happening. And then all of a sudden, I make a note, and this is what I wrote in my notes. Best part so far is the hot security guard. She gets out of the car in tight black leather leggings. He follows her into Trump Tower, the Trump Tower building in New York, into the elevator. The elevator goes up, and when she exits the elevator and goes into her apartment, he remains outside and pulls the door shut. And God, honest to God, I never thought I would see that guy again. I really didn't. I really didn't. And so I'm going to follow, what I'm going to do right now is follow and tell you just this one thread. And I'm going to then go back and tell you from the beginning of the film, because for me, the most interesting thing was this guy. So already I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'll show you his picture in a second. I'm like, this seems like and it wasn't that he wasn't particularly my type either, but I just felt something. You know how when you just see screen chemistry, like I'm not saying they have anything going on, right? And yes, I'm aware that apparently there were rumors that she had an affair with a certain bodyguard, but this guy was like a Secret Service guy. And I just felt like this is the couple I want to watch. Like, I'm not really interested at all in seeing what her fascist husband is involved in. Okay. And so, the movie goes on and on and on, and I'm wondering, when am I going to see that guy again? So let's start at the beginning of this film, because I need you to get my critique of what is happening at the surface versus the contradictions. It is, I guess the way I would put it is what she wants us to know, but what the movie doesn't show. I'm sorry, what we already know, but what the movie doesn't show. And I'm gonna give you one example before I start at the beginning. I was waiting for it, right? When are we gonna see her in the East Wing? And I thought, you know what? Maybe this editor of this film will not show her in the East Wing, because we all flippin' know he tore it down. And by the way, the time frame when the movie was filmed was like January 1st through January 20th. That is the time frame of the footage. But the film came out a year later, right? And even the January 31st, and of course they had a copy to show over at the Kennedy Center the other day, another story, which he is planning to shut down for 2 years and maybe tear down. But at any rate, when I watched the movie, I didn't know that. But what I did know is the East Wing had been torn down like this summer, at the end of the summer. There was plenty of time to strip from this film any mention of it, but they didn't. And she was at one point boasting about her key responsibilities were running the East Wing. How the hell do you watch that without choking, and going, oh my God? They know that we know what is going on in the real world around us. It's not like this movie came out in February and this other shit happened. This movie came out this week, and before it was actually edited and the final cut created, all these things were happening in the real world that we know, and it doesn't show. Okay, so let's start how it begins, okay? There's an opening shot, right? Well, for the first thing is the MGM lion roars. You know how that happens. And then it says Amazon MGM Studio presents. So already, before I see the first shot, I'm like, oh, right. Amazon Studios. Oh, right. Jeff Bezos invested a shit ton of money in this movie, in distributing the Melania movie. And I think it was a $75 million investment. I guess it was in between paying $40 million for the rights and $35 million for marketing it. And I feel guilty that I'm contributing to the weekend box office, but it wasn't very good from what I've heard. I guess Amazon is saying it is a success, but it's only going to make $7 million in the first weekend. But unfortunately, my friends, I think people will watch it later in the future. I think it is a cultural artifact that one day people will write dissertations about. But anyway, so right away, flashing across the screen is the reminder that this movie is a form of close to, adjacent to bribery, currying favor with the existing president of the United States by spending all this money on this documentary. And so that's how it kind of opens, right? So already I'm like rolling my eyes, but it gets even better. So we get this shot, right? And it is above, it's an aerial shot, and it appears to be shot maybe from a helicopter very high up, not from a drone. You, of course, don't hear the helicopter, right? There's a camera, and you're over an ocean. You see a beautiful blue ocean. The camera approaches a beach, and it moves up into the coast, and you see it's flying over Mar-a-Lago. And the song, now this is the thing, all the tells in this movie come from the music, because no one pays any attention to the sort of Freudian or subliminal message they're sending us when they choose a song. They don't, so there's this song, and they're playing the Rolling Stones song, Gimme Shelter, right? And I can't sing it for you, but if you look at those lyrics, and by the way, it is the Rolling Stones version of it. So it's playing over this. And if you read the lyrics of that song, they contrast with the privilege on display, both in the entire film that we see and when it was being edited. And so some of the lyrics of Gimme Shelter, this is how it begins. Oh, a storm is threatening my very life today. If I don't get some shelter, oh yeah, I'm going to fade away. War, children, it's just a shot away. Then down a little bit more in the lyrics, rape, murder, it's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. Okay. Talk about self-aggrandizing. Flying over her husband's social club, right? This camera saying she needs shelter. Okay, but this is a song about war, about children being abused, about rape. And this is a film that has come out and was edited during the time period when Donald Trump was trying to cover up his best friend's international pedophile ring. This is a time period when Donald Trump is claiming that he brings peace, but in reality, he is creating a war on our cities here, including in Minneapolis. He engaged in what appears, I believe, even Rand Paul believes, was an act of war against the country of Venezuela. The weekend the movie was coming out, he was once again threatening Iran. Before the final cut of the movie was made, he was threatening to invade Greenland, Cuba. Need I go on? So I'm listening to this going, are you flipping kidding me? It's hysterical. Okay. Now, the next thing, and I got to let you know, I didn't do a shot-by-shot markup. So a couple of these things might be out of order. I might be writing something down in the dark, and then something else happens, and I remember I want to write something else down. So around that time, I think we see Melania get into a black SUV, or we see just a caravan of black SUVs, right? And we see all these signs of affluence around us. And somehow the next thing we see, I think she gets to an airport, and then the private jet. And this could have been, I don't know if it was one of the president. I guess she would have been. This is before she was first lady. So this is January 1st, right? So this is roughly in that window between January 1st and the 20th. This private jet takes off. And then she says something. The first words we hear out of her is something everybody wants to know. So here it is. And we find out this is going to cover the first 20 days as she gets ready for the inauguration. Now, it appears that she is leaving Mar-a-Lago to go to New York City. And when the plane lands, more of these cars, like I can't tell you how many shots are from the front windshield of a car as her entourage goes through the streets. And it made me think like, oh my God, what an awful life. Like the fun part of New York City is being on the street, walking down the street and coming upon a street festival, like the San Gennaro Festival is that even in like Little Italy? And you somehow come upon it and you're like, oh my God, I want to get a cannoli. And you have the best flippin' cannoli in your life. Or you literally are in a random Starbucks and you run into a friend from college, or you pop into a museum and see a show. That to me is New York City. Gritty. Well, that's my gritty on the ground. Maybe it even smells too much like pot because everyone's smoking all the time, but that's New York. That's New York. Like it's fun. This is not her New York. Her New York is like in these cars behind glass, etc. So already it's not that I'm feeling sorry for her. This is the part where I'm like, her life is really boring. The story she thinks she's telling, because she sees the world like it's a fashion magazine, is look at my life. It's so glamorous. And I look at her life and I go, oh my God, get me out of this cage. This doesn't seem like a good life at all. So here it is. This is like now our second song in the film plays. She's in a limo and the song, yes, it actually by Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. More on him in a second because he comes up again in the film. Michael Jackson, and the song Billie Jean is playing. Okay, let's just start. Michael Jackson, who died in disgrace, sadly, death was sad, right? I think he was on propofol or something and didn't wake up because some doctor, quote unquote, prescribed it when he shouldn't have gotten it, and he was using and abusing drugs. But Michael Jackson, who was a child singer, Jackson 5, had a very good career, and then later disgraced for being, wait for it, a child molester. And that is the second song in the film. Are you with me on this? First song is about children being killed. Second song is about a child molester. All of this happening, of course, not just with the Epstein files being covered up, but all the children who were, when the film was being made and before the final cut, being taken into ICE custody. I mean, when the film first debuted, little Liam Ramos had not been freed. He is free and he is home, thank God. But so I'm like, okay, so it gets even better though. What song is it? It's Billie Jean. And so, of course, the reason why she wants this song is because these lyrics play. She was more like a beauty queen from a movie scene. And of course, that line plays as they pull a close-up to her face, because that's what they're trying to say. She's like a beauty queen from a movie scene. Ha, ha, ha. They think this is self-referential. But no, I look at this like, really? Because the rest of the lyrics are about a young man trying to deny paternity. And so I don't know what she's doing there. Okay, so this is the next part, right? So now I'm like, are you kidding me? This is so boring. And then comes the hot security guard, the hot, Secret Service guy. And I thought it was really weird because this is the first time when he shows up, it's the first time Melania's feet like touch the ground, and she is wearing something that looks semi-human. Now the heels, I don't know. I'm not so, some people love them. I'm not going to criticize them. They're super high heels. I have liked heels. That's great. But these seem so spiky, the ones. So her legs come out of the car first, and she's got these leather leggings on. I'm like, oh, those look pretty cool. And she actually looks like a little edgy, a little sexy. And that is when the hot security guard shows up, the hot bodyguard, in these tight black leather leggings. And he shows up then. I'm like, oh, okay, right. And this is when he escorts her into the building. I think there might have been a few others in the elevator, goes up with her, he's always standing behind her. And then she goes into her apartment. So what's happening next, of course, is her favorite thing. It's a fitting. And you guys, you've got to stick with me with this because you're not going to believe this. This is insane. So they're trying to fit her with the coat that she is going to wear to the inauguration. And as you know, in most years, the inauguration is held outside, and it can be bitterly cold in Washington, D.C. Yes, even though it's Washington, D.C., semi-southern weather there, it can get really cold. So not surprisingly, they're fitting her in a coat. But the coat she's wearing, she's trying on not the one she's going to wear, but like a sample, right? And what she is wearing, my friends, is a black coat dress. A black coat dress. So it looks like a coat, but it's a dress. It's very fitted. And I swear to God, it looks just exactly like the black coat dress that we have seen E. Jean Carroll in, the black coat dress that she was wearing when Donald Trump raped her at Bergdorf Goodman. I swear to you, it looks just like that. And these coat dresses were very popular it's a classic look. They were popular in the 90s. I had one that I had bought at Barney's that I still have. I remember, and I cannot believe it's one of the things I still own. And I remember thinking, I need to wear a suit every day to my law firm. And back then you couldn't even wear pants. They had to be dresses. And I'm like, oh my God, suits with jackets and skirts are so expensive. So I thought I could cheat. If I bought a coat dress, it would be expensive, but the coat dress would be cheaper than a full suit. And at the time, this is like 1993. And I was thinking, holy shit, like this dress, it was $425 in 1993. That would be like spending $1,500 now. I'm certain of it. And it was so much money for a young lawyer to be spending. But I remember a partner at the law firm said to me, you know what, if you buy good quality, it will last. And I only did that with a couple things. And honest to God, I still have it. But at any rate, I recognized that coat dress from E. Jean Carroll before I even knew her, when she was on the cover of, I think it was New York Magazine, wearing the black coat dress. So we soon find out that immediately upon seeing herself in the mirror, Melania makes a suggestion that the lapel should be made wider. And she's right, because right now it looks like a coat dress you could wear inside of a house. It looks like E. Jean Carroll's coat dress. But with the bigger lapels, it starts looking different and like a coat. And then we find out it's not going to be black, but she shows that it's going to be a navy fabric that they will use. So I find this amazing, because this to me is a metaphor for the entire film. Something looks a certain way. Let's alter it a little bit so people don't see what's right there in front of us. Now, of course, you guys, let me tell you, this is my reading of the film. No one who made this film intended this. This is part of literary criticism and literary theory. It's called death of the author. You read into a text, a cultural text of any type, what you see. And if what your analysis is true to its internal logic, fucking go for it. Okay. So next thing that happens is they have her go on and try on the suit again. They have her try it on again. Obviously, it's been more than a minute, with some cream blouses, right, to fit under it. And she doesn't like one of the blouses. They're all gorgeous silk blouses, and she doesn't like one of them. And by the way, they have all these people around her and these famous designers and so on. She doesn't like one of them because the blouse kind of has a lapel, but it also has kind of a band here. And I got to say, so far, I'm in her fashion sense. It makes sense. It looked a little bulky. But the way they treated this, she leaves the room and they're like, oh, like, what do we do? And I felt like I was in an episode of The Pit. I have not watched this season, no spoilers. But in The Pit, you have like an emergency case, and all of a sudden you have this cart rolling in and the person's crashing, and you've got to get the mask on them and like flip and try to thread a goddamn, I don't know, sort of needle thing through their brain without giving them a hemorrhage. Have you seen that show? I love it. And like, this person's blood type doesn't match this, and they don't speak the language. You've got to find a translator. And oh my God, that is how they were treating this flippin' blouse. I mean, the music, it wasn't quite scary music, but it was so goddamn serious. Would they be able to cut this blouse, will it survive? Will it survive? Mind you, it is weeks before the inauguration. But this fitting was serious shit. Okay, guys. So that was a drama. Now, okay, we move on to another scene where they have set up some mock table settings with like the tablecloths and the glassware and the utensils for this thing that she's calling a candlelight dinner. And I guess, I don't know much about all the inauguration traditions, but she is talking about how you don't have to have a candlelight dinner, but they're going to have one, and it will be the night before. She doesn't say January 19th, but I checked after I got home from the theater that it was held on January 19th. Or maybe she said it was the night before, but in these notes, didn't write it down. So the thing is, this is the first time I see food in the movie. And I'm starting to get hungry. I should have gotten popcorn, but I don't know what time in the afternoon it was. I'm trying to think of when. Let me look at my notebook. When I started watching the movie. I think I got seats at 2:30 in the afternoon, and I was going to have dinner with my cousin. And I thought, skip the popcorn. Well, that was a mistake because I was getting hungry. Now they're going to talk about the food they were going to serve at this candlelight dinner. So I'm thinking, I'm going to get really hungry. I mean, these people have gazillions of dollars to spend on this. Won't it be the best flippin' food? Listen, to me, food is essential. I am a foodie. If I were having an event, you would take any bite of the food you eat and you would say, oh my God, this is the best hummus I have ever had. Or you would taste something and say, holy shit, this piece of smoked salmon, look, not that I can cook that way, but if I had her money and the best chefs at my disposal, let me tell you, it would be a night to remember. A chocolate dessert, pot de creme, you would taste it and you would be transported into outer space. Orgasmic food. Okay, so I'm like, okay, shit, I should have had some popcorn. But don't worry, my friends, don't worry. I get to the scene and they're showing her what the first course is gonna be. And they said, I wonder if I can find a picture of this. If you can imagine this, because I want to see. I don't think you can find this. Okay, so they're showing this thing, and it's up. I think this is the first course. I mean, they're showing this thing, and it's up on it. Okay, imagine. Okay, they say. I just got to tell you, they say it's a golden egg. Okay, guys, a golden egg. I mean, I can't even start with the goose who laid the golden egg. Okay, I can't start with that quite yet because it gets better. So they say it's going to be a golden egg, and they have, when you were a kid, one of your favorite foods must have been a soft-boiled egg. If you were lucky to get these, and it's propped up on one of those little egg cups, right? And you tap it with your little spoon, and you crack open the top, and then you eat this most delicious, if it's hot, wonderful dish, little salt and pepper. I'm making you hungry and making me hungry. I haven't had breakfast. But that's not what the golden egg was. The golden egg was, imagine that, but a shell that is covered in gold. So I don't know what's inside of it, if it's chocolate or whatever. That's what it was. My friends, that is not food. A golden egg sitting in an egg cup as like a first course or a last course or any flipping course is to food what marzipan or what fondant is to icing. Fondant sucks. Fondant is on cakes so you can make something look a certain way. The only good icings are things like buttercream frosting. Okay, I'm specific about this. Okay, you know what I'm trying to say. There are other good icings. A flippin' golden egg. And I don't want to, I have to tell you this now, guys. I'm jumping ahead. Later in the movie, we get to the candlelight dinner. And of course, there's the scene, and there are table after table, and there are people sitting down to this candlelight. And it's very beautiful if you want to be with these fascists. And keep in mind that they're showing us golden eggs in this film when grocery prices are high, when people are struggling to make ends meet, right? But even better than that, when they showed it to us, she mentions late in the film that this dinner is for the donors or something to that effect. She didn't say it's for the donors, but she said how grateful they are to the donors because they are so important to their campaign. And then it hit me. These golden eggs on each of the plates of these people who support Donald Trump, are they saying he's the goose who lays the golden egg for them? I don't know. But boy, that was not food. So my stomach calmed down. So my notes said, unbelievably, the first course is an egg in an egg cup, but not an ordinary soft-boiled egg, but one covered in gold, a gold-covered egg. Are you kidding me? Now, I turn to, we're back now to the fitting, and I'm noticing that her makeup is overdone. Her eyebrows are like still those kinds of eyebrows that I think aren't as trendy, that they look perfectly done, but you can see the eyebrow paint. And she's got so much dark eyeshadow on. And listen, I'm a gal who loves dressing up in makeup sometimes. I really do. You can ask Michael, he likes my face without makeup on. And I say to him, it's my face. I'll do what I want. But still, it's fun. Theatrical makeup can be great. Even in the daytime, you want to be edgy, whatever. But her makeup is the same and heavy throughout. And nobody else in the film, for the most part, is made up that way. She's got very dark eyeshadow on, like coal color eyeshadow, like eyeshadow almost the color of this microphone here, of the gray here. And okay, so then I noticed that. Then we get someone, one of the fashion designers has a moment to speak and says that, I think it was he, came here from Laos at the age of 2, is happy to be an American. And this was this moment we were supposed to think, oh, wait a second. Is Melania trying to say something positive about immigration? And then instead of saying something at all, like that's what America means to me, or anything to this person, and she says instead, turns the focus on herself, holds up a glass, a crystal glass, and she says, this coupe is from my country. And I'm not making fun of her accent. I think, but I was confused, honestly, because I thought she was referring to a particular type of, I don't know, was it a particular kind of, was she going to show some pottery or some particular type of stemware? I wasn't sure, but I think she was saying cup. And it was a crystal glass. And she was talking about how she was from a different country and came here. And so this is the point, of course, where I'm like, tell us more, Melania, about how you came here to America on your Einstein visa. Tell us more about the chain migration for your beloved parents. Tell us why, Melania, you think it's okay for you to be in this country, to live your dreams, your modeling career and whatnot, and not for others. But we don't get that. But it's there again, beneath the surface. And she thinks we're not going to be able to crack it open. She thinks that that layer of gold around everything will make the truth impenetrable. But the truth, we will crack open that egg and it will come forward. And it is crazy. Okay. So the next thing we do is we move on from Melania's sartorial splendor, or actually, trying to hide the E. Jean Carroll dress. We move on to her talking about her role at the White House. And she's in this process of interviewing 2 young women to work with her there. And without any irony whatsoever, Melania says that her most important role at the White House is starting with the East Wing, where she oversees things and so on. And my jaw dropped. As I mentioned earlier, I was waiting for this moment and I thought, there's no way they will leave anything about the East Wing in this movie. But they did. So there, in the audience, you are sitting there going, your most important job is the East Wing. and your husband knocked it the fuck down and is turning it into a ballroom and expanding the bunker beneath it? Are you kidding me, lady? Are you kidding me? And then I started to think about her. I think she married him in 2005. So when he first ran for president, they had been only in that marriage for 10 years. He is wrecking the place. He wrecked the place where she had any authority at all. But no mention of that. It's as if the East Wing is still there. Guys, the East Wing is not there. The next thing, of course, and it's just so perfect, is we get a call from Donald. Right then, his first moment in the film. Right when we hear her talk about the East Wing is what she does. We get a phone call from Donald, right? I don't know where he is. Maybe he's in Florida. She's in New York. And I think you might have seen a clip. I think the trailer had something like this, but in the film, it's incredibly uncomfortable. It feels like a staged phone call. And it also feels like she is trying to get off the phone with a lot of okay. Like she's trying to get off the phone with him. What a juxtaposition. The first time the hot bodyguard appeared, so far you've only seen him once. I feel this drama, right? I feel glamour. And here her husband calls and she is trying to get him off the phone. Okay. Then suddenly, whoosh, we have a change of plans. It turns out Jimmy Carter has died. And so I'm like, oh my God, they're going to show the funeral with this? Okay. And so she now has to go back down to DC from New York before she is planned. And the funeral, it turns out, is going to be on January 9th. See, we're moving along at a very slow clip. The funeral is going to be on January 9th. And it turns out that this is the first anniversary of her mother's death. And as you can imagine, that's really hard. Today is February 2nd, and this Wednesday is the first anniversary of my mother's death, right? That's a lot. That's a lot on you. And I'm not really thinking about it so much now, but I will be on that day. But okay, so this gives her an opportunity to talk about her mother in a very vague terms. And so now again, we are back inside of cars, looking at there's more boring footage from inside of cars, looking out the front windshield as she moves through these busy streets. And we hear about her parents' marriage, about how, I think it was nearly 60 years, and how much she admires that love and that longevity. No mention at all that she is her husband's third wife. No mention whatsoever that all of us in the audience know that Donald Trump had at least 2 extramarital affairs while she was either pregnant with Barron or had just given birth to him. One with Stephanie Clifford, also known as Stormy Daniels, an adult film star, and one with a Playboy bunny whose name I have actually forgotten. Sorry, it's hard to keep track. No mention of that, okay? But of course, you can imagine in your mind, you're thinking, well, that's interesting. So, okay, so now we're in the church. I don't know if it was a National Cathedral when with Jimmy Carter's funeral, and that was I remember how it was the Washington National Cathedral, and I remember that service, and I don't remember all of the details of it, but I especially remember that Donald Trump had nodded off in the film and during the funeral. And so we hear we have the cameras on a pastor speaking, and the camera then moves to the pews, and Melania's there, and to her left, we see Donald. And then I'm like, oh my God, they actually left a shot in this film of Donald tipping his head back, appearing to nod off. And I'm like, really? But at the same time, though, while that happened, the way the clip is juxtaposed with what the pastor is saying, it could be interpreted like it was a wise nod. In other words, the pastor says something and then it cuts to him. It wasn't a pan, so they can edit this however they want. So they go from the pastor saying something profound, and then Donald goes, and it, like in his head is like nodding off, like a nodding thing. But I can tell that the filmmakers are trying to make it look, oh, he wasn't sleeping. He wasn't dozing. He was being, nodding at this profound wisdom. Bullshit. I call bullshit. Okay. Believe it or not, she says nothing about Carter's legacy. Nothing about his long marriage to Rosalind. Nothing at all about them. About the presidency. About what they did for families and children with Habitat for Humanity. Nothing. She only talks about her mother. Okay. This is all about Melania. So now we're back in New York. Of course, because, when you have a private jet, you got to get back to oversee the golden egg and all that stuff. So she's back in New York, but it is her mother's, we call it, if you're Jewish, Yortzeit, the first anniversary of their death, or any anniversary of their death. Melania, I believe, is Catholic, so she decides to go to St. Patrick's Cathedral, which is a place she says her mother liked to go, to light a candle for her mother. And I am watching this, and she's wearing a long coat and those stiletto heels. And we watch her from the back pew walk all the way down the aisle, up to the front, to the left, of the altar where she is going to light these candles. And as she walks, it's like click, 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 click. And I couldn't put my finger on it, what it reminded me of. And then I realized it was like a runway. They had her walk down that like it was a runway. Okay. And it gets even better than that. Now we are on our third song. Okay. And so remember, the first song was Gimme Shelter. And then we had Billie Jean. Now we have Amazing Grace, fully appropriate for a church. But what was interesting is it was an extremely soulful, gorgeous rendition of Amazing Grace, also appropriate, and obviously sung by a Black woman. And there is Melania lighting candles for her mother. And then, after she greets the clergy, when she's starting to leave the church, and then they're amping up the Amazing Grace music, there is someone there. The music is obviously a live recording of someone singing Amazing Grace, this gorgeous voice, this beautiful Black woman's voice. And there's applause that's building up. And Melania leaves the church, which of course there's no sounds, but probably traffic on the street. But instead of that, they substitute the end of Amazing Grace and all the applause as if they are applauding Melania. She is stealing this Black woman's applause. Such appropriation. And it reminded me, of course, of when, one of her people steal one of Michelle Obama's speeches or part of it. But it also struck me, all the racism that we know about Donald Trump, right? This happens. I'm watching this after he has tried to prosecute and failed Tish James. After Don Lemon had been indicted and put in prison overnight. Donald Trump, who hates Black people, it's so clear, utter racist, and so much of the MAGA movement is. And that is what she chose. Okay, fine. Now our next scene, and I'm going to get to the end, I promise you. But we wonder at this point, does Melania have any friends? And then boom, she set up her laptop on several books. And one of the books is her Melania book. I have not read that. And she is now on a Zoom with Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France. And they're talking about Melania's Be Best initiative and how she is going to ramp that up again. And Brigitte's very enthusiastic and says, I would go anywhere with you to support this. And we see the first genuine smile on Melania's face, but that usually her demeanor throughout this film is sort of nervous, insecure, trying to stay in control. And of course, the Be Best initiative is about cyberbullying. And again, my friends, no irony whatsoever. She has been silent in the real world, right? That is happening around the editing of this film and even into when I watched it on Saturday. She's been silent about Leon Ramos and the other children in custody. She has not condemned Jeff Epstein whatsoever or even answered for why she was sending nice little notes to Ghislaine Maxwell. Now it is 4:20 in the film. I have been in this movie for nearly an hour, give or take, because of course there were previews. And we get to another woman. This is now Aviva Siegel, a soulful, beautiful Jewish woman with gray curls and zero makeup. And she is visiting Melania in New York to enlist her support to get her husband free from captivity in Gaza. And Aviva, it's just heartbreaking. She was herself a hostage. She describes being underground, being barely able to breathe, thinking she was going to die. They freed her with some other women. And she is just saying, can you help get my husband free? And then, not on camera, we hear, and it has to be Aviva's voice, say, I love people from Gaza. I love everybody. But no further comment about that. What was striking is Aviva moved in for a hug before she leaves the screen, and Melania kind of hugs, but not very tight. And I don't know, so far, Aviva is one of my favorite people in this movie because she is just so human. Okay, so now I'm like, okay. I mean, now it's like 4:30, and then boom, out of nowhere, almost an hour into the film, boom, the hot bodyguard appears again. Okay. And we hear a voice off camera, maybe the director asking her, who is your favorite recording artist? And she says, Michael Jackson, without any irony whatsoever. And this is the second time Michael Jackson has come up, first just his music. And I'm thinking, does she not know he was a child molester? Her whole plan is to stop cyberbullying, harassment of children by other children online. And she doesn't give a rat's patootie, apparently, about lifting up Michael Jackson, a known child molester. And then they ask her, what is your favorite song? And guess what, my friends? It's Billie Jean. So we get to hear another clip from that song. And so I'm wondering, has she listened to the lyrics? It is a man denying that he has impregnated a girl. These lyrics include, Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I am the one, but the kid is not my son. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, that made me laugh a little bit. I mean, of course, I'm disturbed by her not getting it, but it made me laugh a little bit because how often have we heard Donald Trump say about Barron, she has a son? And of course, Barron is his son, but anyhow. Okay, so now finally, it's January 20th, and we are back in Washington, D.C., and I think we have Bolero playing. You know the song Bolero? Do, 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 do. Well, you probably know it. It's entirely instrumental, and the instruments start bit by bit and they build up. And it's most famous if you're Gen X like me, or maybe even baby boomer. You might remember it from the film 10 with Bo Derek and was it Dudley Moore? I'm not sure. I never saw the movie, but I saw a lot of the trailers for it. And it's played at some point when this beautiful young woman with white woman with cornrow braids running down a beach. And it's meant to be a very seductive song. You're not going to believe You're not going to believe who shows up again. Hot bodyguard right then. So now I'm like, come on. Is someone playing games with us, or is it just me? And then she is, right, she's at some point, and I'm getting confused. Maybe this is right. They're showing her get to. Now, like, I think she's on the tarmac. So I'm very confused by my notes. But so he's on the tarmac and greeting her at her plane. Because sometimes I show things out of sequence, like how she got there. And the song that is playing while the hot Secret Service bodyguard is there is I Know This Much Is True by Spandau Ballet. You know, I can't sing. It's a very romantic song. She is, oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's when she's leaving. She's on the tarmac, ascending the stairs to fly down to DC. So this is very romantic song playing. And so I think she was leaving New York. And do you want to know the lyrics? It's with a thrill in my head and a pill on my tongue, dissolve the nerves that have just begun. Listening to Marvin all night long. This is the sound of my soul. This is the sound always slipping from my hand. Sans a time of its own. Take your seaside arms and write the next line. Oh, I want the truth to be known. Interesting choice. Okay, then we have a meeting with the Queen of Jordan. She's visiting Melania. And there are shots of both of them walking in high heels. And they are, I think, I don't know what the song Sunny plays, and I don't know much about that. Now, at this point, it looks like we're in a flashback again, and Donald is now on camera again, acting angry. And he's angry because he finds out that there will be a national championship scheduled for January 20th. And I don't even know who, I didn't hear what national championship it was. And he's complaining that he is going to have to compete for media time with this. And he actually says, this has been, January 20th has been the date of the inauguration for hundreds of years. No, what a moron. The date was in March, and it was moved to January in the 1930s. The very first inauguration on January 20th was 1937. So that was less than 90 years, not hundreds. Okay, fine. You might say, and I can hear you, oh, I didn't know that. Well, here's the thing. Donald didn't know that. Fine. He is an idiot. But the filmmaker obviously didn't know it or didn't care to check and left it in. So once again, making them look bad. Again, the truth bubbles up. And there's a lot of discussion about safety and if the inaugural parade is going to be outside in a car. It turns out it's so cold it won't happen. So now it happens to happen inside at some arena. And first, it's going to be the swearing in at the rotunda, and the so-called parade will actually just be an event in an arena. Okay, so now I'm getting bored. And I am daydreaming. And in my version of Melania ditches Donald for that hot bodyguard. She would sell some of that gorgeous gold jewelry she is wearing and maybe even take the advance she got from this movie. And she buys a decent home, something like quiet luxury, maybe a brownstone in the West Village. And she would wipe off the garish makeup. She would put on some cool, chunky black shoes. Maybe she'd even get a tattoo. And she would cut her hair in an interesting, edgy style and live and live. But I realize that's not the movie I am watching. Okay, and so then we are now somewhere. I don't know if it's if we're at Mar-a-Lago in a room that's meant to look like the White House. I don't know what it is, but Donald is practicing his speech, and he beckons Melania and the camera crew to come in. And there's some line he doesn't like. It's about how he says, I want to be a peacemaker and not a warmonger. And he says, I don't like the word monger. And so Melania suggests peacemaker and unifier. And of course, spoiler alert, he includes that in his real speech, and the camera crew is ready to capture her look of pride. You see, as if to say, I have influence. And then, oh my God, after that, we got the candlelit dinner with the egg. And then again, now Melania is a tomb of unknown soldier laying down flowers, and there's the hot bodyguard. He keeps showing up, right? Now, when we have this, we're about to get to the swearing in, and we get the song, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Just an obvious choice. And the thing is, really, this guy is supposed to be president of the United States. World domination is a flippin' problem. We don't need another Hitler. But if you listen to the lyrics of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, one of the lines is, I can't stand this indecision, married with a lack of vision. Okay. At some point, we get a scene where Barron is in the large stadium, and It's a Man's World plays, right? There she is. And by the way, the camera goes from Donald to Barron, and it is Melania trying to cement the idea of patriarchy, but also the idea of a sort of patriarchal lineage from father to son. And yeah, good for you. I'm not loving it. Okay. So at this, there is a moment that we then get to. And by the way, there's a big deal with this besides her navy blue coat dress, she's got this very big wide brim hat, which would be perfect if they were outside, shielding her from the sunlight. It kind of looks a little ridiculous inside. Plus, lots of moments where they had to do surgery on the hat, all very serious. Okay. So we have the rotunda where he's about to be sworn in. And you may remember the shot where they had all these billionaires there and donors and very few other people, members of Congress and so on. So this is the moment where Melania gets really petty. And it's no wonder she has so few, if any, friends. They choose to show sort of backstage before people come out to the rotunda. They show Kamala Harris, and they decided to use a clip of her scowling. And of course she's scowling. She's got to go out there and deal with this moron who won the presidency. And next to her, they also show a shot of Biden looking dazed, right? We know that Melania wasn't smiling throughout. We know that this film was curated to only show her looking pleasant and smiling, but she thinks it makes Harris look bad, but it makes Harris look real, and it makes her look phony. And this is all about the banality of evil. At that moment, I thought, I wish Hannah Arendt, the Jewish German philosopher who wrote that book on authoritarianism, I wish she could have been sitting with me, and I would have shared a thing of popcorn with her, and I'd be like, can you fucking believe this shit? I mean, you saw it coming, Hannah, or Hannah. Anyway, so now we're at the swearing in, and this is another example of them trying to hide the truth. You might remember at the swearing in that Donald had his right hand up, but he never put his hand on any Bible whatsoever. But what you may not know is this. Melania was carrying these two books on top of each other, and I'm assuming they're two Bibles. I don't know if one of them was special to her. And the thing is, the shot her filmmakers chose when John Roberts is officiating over the swearing in, over the oath, is a shot where Donald's body blocks the books, and you don't see that his left arm is hanging limp by his side. Now, of course, it's no requirement that you actually put your hand on the Bible, but Donald is so uninterested in his wife and in this ceremony and the significance that he doesn't do it. And no one in MAGA even cared. Okay, so now I'm getting to the very end of this where I'm going to show you a fabulous clip. Okay, so we have now, we're getting to after the so-called inaugural parade in Capitol One, which is just a big stadium event, it looked like, we end up, Melania is in this beautiful white gown that I didn't tell you about the fitting of, but everyone's making fun of it because it does actually look like it's redaction. There are these black marks over it. Okay, so she's in this really gorgeous redaction gown, and unbelievable, like they're heading to the inaugural ball, and there is the hot bodyguard. And my friends, this time he is wearing a bow tie, and he looks stunning. And it's shocking to think that Melania is showing this whole thing like, look, I am the first lady. But all you can think about is what a fascist bozo frog she is married to, this man on her arm, who later, a few moments later, when they are dancing, she is pulling away from. But before that, we have the hot bodyguard behind her, and you watch him behind her and his eyes looking at her, which is his job. But shit, guys, I was like, oh my God, so glad I spotted this guy early on. And you'll never believe what song they played. And then he kissed me. So I am dying, and I am in this theater, and there are only like 12 or 13 other people. And so I take out my phone and I filmed that because I couldn't believe it. And the lyrics, of course, are, each time I saw him, I couldn't wait to see him again. I wanted to let him know that he was more than a friend. I didn't know just what to do, so I whispered, I love you. He said that he loved me too, and then he kissed me. So I feel like you have stayed with me for more than the allotted hour, just a few more minutes. And I think that I want to, therefore, share with you that incredible moment. And so I do need to, I do want to find that. And I'm hoping, my friends, that it is now. Let me pull this up. I'm hoping it's on my photos in my library. There it is. Oh my God. Okay. So first of all, let me just do a screen share. Okay. Let me just do a screen share. So you can see the still shot that I got. This was a bit of a, I didn't do a good job at this. Hold on one second. Let me just, I really want to be able to get this. And I'm not quite, okay, let's see. Oh, I see what I have to do. I'm going to have to do a screenshot of this. Give me a sec. Okay, and I have to, I'm so sorry, guys. I have to do this because otherwise, image file, I can show you this. Okay, great. Now, there it is. So you can see, there he is, kind of staring at her, right? But what I really want to play for you is I want you to see the video, because that's the best part here. And I've got to figure out, I think I know how I can do this. Here we go. Sorry guys, this is a tech thing. And I think I need to, I don't know how I can, what if I can download this and somehow, let's see. My life is a little complicated here when I'm trying to show you, because I have it on I thought that I could do this. What if I share it? Okay. I don't know. You know what I'm going to do? Guys, I am going to, I will put this video of the two of them, this clip, up in my, I'll make it a video short, right? I'll put it as a YouTube short that you can find later today when I have a moment, because I have to actually go teach class. Anyway, I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow morning when we can talk about the harder news. But like I said, whatever Melania is trying to do in this film, she truly failed. She really did. Okay, see you tomorrow morning.
Hello, prison mates. It's the Taub show where welcome everyone. Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. There is hope, and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Taub show.